Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
Hey folks, Dave in the AM here with the Southern Fried Podcast and the Cornbread Nation. For many weeks now, me and Rob have been telling you about our affiliation with Dubby Energy Drinks. I've been drinking some of them on the show, and I just got in today the powder version, and this is the Palm Blom version of this. And hey, I tell you that it gives you the focus and the energy without the jitters or the crash. There's no sugars, no fillers, no artificial dyes. So get you some Dubby today. Use the promo code Southern Fried, and you'll get 10% off each and every order. Not only can you get the energy drinks, but you can also get some cool merch items. In fact, soon we're going to have a hat to show you as an example of some of those things. There's shirts and other things you can get as well as containers to mix up the powder and the water into that you can carry with you. We appreciate your support of the Southern Fried Podcast and also of Dubby Energy Drinks. We'll see you again soon. Take care. Welcome to Southern Fried Podcast and Cornbread Nation late night. Not talk late night. Love it. Haven't got to do one of these in a couple of weeks. Get into a little bit later hour. And I like doing that on Thursday night. So holiday week off work, although I'm very, very busy. I think sometimes I'm busier when I'm not working than when I am, just because I get into so many other things. Been a very productive way in many ways. We did do some extra shows today from this morning to this afternoon to this evening, and we'll do a couple of more tomorrow besides the two that we're doing, and hopefully hooking up with Rob and doing some funnies. We're going to get back together and do that. Our schedules have been just a little crazy, and we'll add that back into the morning mix that we have Monday through Friday. Appreciate you being here. It's been an interesting day news-wise. I was watching just before I came on the air video of the jetliner crash. A lot of different ideas about what happened, but it seems to be the consensus is, and from this morning and no change, that it was shot at and lost control and went down. Looked like the pilot was trying to do all he could without a lot of control. Maybe didn't have some of the rudder controls and stuff, had engine control. It was all over the place. In a dive, getting speed, kind of leveled out, and then came in and crashed, and a number of people died. That's a rough area. There's war there. There's ongoing tensions there, even though they're trying to get a peace agreement. We had someone in the show this morning that was talking about it, that was lived in the States, but pretty familiar with the issues in the area. Pray for their families. That's unfortunate. I don't want to go up in a war zone or somewhere where people shooting at me in a 747 or I don't know if that was a 747, but it was a big plane. I think that might have been what it was. But anyway, whatever size it was a big jet, and went down and caught fire, and there'll be a lot of investigation on it, but those are always hard things to watch, being up that high. It looked like he came in, obviously you're moving really fast with an airliner like that, but he was trying to level it out, got a little turned, and I think the wing clipped first, and then it just separated and caught fire, and that was just a horrible thing. But we've got drone activity around the world, including here, and it's concerning. You've got jets that are flying through airspace, and we just hope that nothing like that happens here. But anyway, pray for them, the Azerbaijan Airlines. So there's theories about that it was Russian military air defense systems, or it was their enemies, or terror groups. I don't know, but you couldn't tell from the video that I saw exactly what the damage was. But someone said what's on ground, even though it had separated, the front half of the plane burned up, but the back half had separated, and it looked like there might have been anti-aircraft fire through the tail section. So I don't know, but that'll be an investigation. But that's difficult. I did also this morning. I was covering the Ukraine war, and since that time, I had saw news that they asked Putin about peace there, and he's trying to claim that God is on his side. So what a nut! And unfortunately, those things are ongoing. But I did appreciate the pastor's comments that I read this morning, and so yeah, I did a sports show this evening. I was watching the Bears and Seahawks. And I'm glad I'm coming on air. That was some good defense, horrible offense. I think it was 6-3 with about 5 minutes left when I headed this way. And Seahawks need that game. They're winning. The Bears, they're in Chicago. And, Williams he's got to have more help. I didn't like to see that their running back for the Seahawks, Walker, went down. And I think is going to be out now. But in his absence, oh man, what's his name? Charbonnet, or anyway, he's the main backup. But also because of the injury, they needed another to come in. And our old boy from Chicago, the Georgia Bulldogs, Kenny McIntosh, came in, had a nice run. He was sitting on about 46 yards rushing on I think 6 or 7 attempts. So he had a decent night. He wasn't being the main running back, but I did enjoy seeing that. So in that same game, DeAndre Swift had some runs. So, but there was no great offense going on. Pretty lame duck game, but those happen. And usually those Thursday night games are pretty good, but this one was not good at all. So, but we appreciate you being here. Thanks for those that are starting to come in to Instagram and those that are in here. I just like to get on and do a late night talk. It's, some might say that's not real late, but for me, because we do a morning show on Friday, it is considered late night. And, a lot of people have went to bed, but I've always been a night owl, and I've always liked that idea of night talk anyway. But I didn't, there's some local shows that use that phrase night talk. So I didn't want to copy them per se, although I like the night talk. So I call it night talk late night. To give it a differential, and it is later. They're off by now. They last until 11, and so I go on at 11. So it's they're online and they're local TV. So I didn't want to copy. I don't like doing that. I want to come up with something fairly unique, but I do like the idea of not talk and just call it late night and make it look totally different. But I like the idea of being out at night, looking up at the stars, and I go to church up on a mountain, and there's not a lot of light sources out there where our church is. And when you can step out on a clear night, it's absolutely beautiful. And you can see those stars, systems really good. And it's just great. But hopefully you have enjoyed your Christmas holiday. Hopefully you're off the rest of the week. If not, I understand. Work must go on. I was appreciative today of those people that were out and working and helping out. We went out and ate today at the old Cracker Barrel and had a good time. A lot of my family there, immediate family, son, grandkids, one of the sons, and we had a good time. That's a good meal there. That Country Boy breakfast. I don't know if you've done that. Sorry, I got my nose itching. That's a lot of food. You think it's not that much, and you start eating, it's like, this is a lot of food. So I appreciate Cracker Barrel. I have noticed with everything going up, used to be you could get some pretty good deals in the store part. Oh my goodness, the prices on candy and stuff have really jumped. And we had already spent a little bit. We had a gift card, but we had spent quite a bit. My granddaughter was like, "Can I get some candy?" It was like candy. No, it was like almost in unison as soon as she asked, because I'd already bought her some. We when we went south, when we came back, we stopped at Cracker Barrel and I bought her some candy that day. Not a lot, just a little bit. But I was like, nope, nope. I'm spending $82 out of pocket. Nope, we'll go somewhere else for that. Actually, she had some at home, so she said okay. She knew, it never hurts to ask. Is Papa going to give me candy? No, okay. Well, he's done a lot. I'll leave it alone. I appreciate that. They know not to beg or plead. It don't work. It's either yes or no, and then we move on. But yeah, it's been a good day. Working on a new studio. For those that you've been in here, you may know, or those that not know. I got some folks that are helping do that, and work will continue tomorrow. And I hope to be doing a live show there from January 1st. I will still have this studio. Probably be useful in the early mornings. I may not go out to the studio. I'll have to step out back to that studio. Just depends on the weather and how ready I am. If I'm kind of running late, it'll be here. And then all the evening shows will be in the new studio. So the bulk of the shows that I do, when I either with Robert or without, will be in the new studio. And it'll have we'll have guests. It'll have room for that. The studio's confining. It's good enough for me. It's not really useful for guests. We'll be able to have a little bit more variety of things we can do with cameras and lights and different things. So looking forward and getting big, getting ready for a big 2025 push as we not even a year old yet, and push the podcast into different ways. Continue those things that have worked for us, and continue to stretch the boundaries and look for new things, including 2 new shows, Southern Fried MAGA and the Cornbread Nation. Be a breadhead today. On our Facebook, we have a second page called Cornbread Nation, and you're a breadhead if you go there and join. And we kind of call all of our followers that, but we early on it was talk that we wouldn't have a show called that, but I just felt like we should have that. It's a unique show, be different. I want to do different things in that show, and it'll debut January 15th. Don't have a time set for that. It'll be in the evening. Not sure. We do a show on Wednesdays, so it may be before, it may be after. We're still settling in on that. And then we don't have a day yet for Southern Fried MAGA, but that will debut January 20th, swearing in day. And we'll do a lot of live coverage of the goings on swear. A big day. That's a big day. It's always a big day. And so it'll be a very conservative show. So we're conservatives, but it'll be really just this new day, new election has came and gone, the swearing in, and see what goes on that first day, because there's going to be quite a bit of activity. It always is, and there'll be extra activity with what does he do the first few minutes in office, and press conferences and interviews and things that we'll see, and we'll cover that and talk about it several times during the day. So looking forward to that. Southern Fried MAGA, and our own spin on it, and looking at those things. And we've had people contact us and ask us, how we felt about it, if we think it'll be a good thing. We are that the country will be moving in a new direction. We're hopeful. We're definitely hopeful, and I think that I definitely will see that. But we'll just have to see how things play out. But we're hopeful. Confirmation hearings coming up quickly. Be seeing those, and I'm interested in seeing how those go in the new year. Looking at Doge and how that's going to work with Elon and Vivek, and seeing how those things happen. We've got to get spending under control. And I thought Senator Fleischman's from Tennessee, his comments that if we killed all the discretionary spending, we'd still not be balanced budget because of the mandatory spending they have mandated on some things. And, that they're going to have to take a look at that, because that can't work. You can never balance if you've said, well, we have to pay this, we have to pay that, and made it mandatory. So it's sad, really, that we've put ourselves in this shape. Many administrations for decades have led this to where we're at, and we're on precarious ground with our debts and the interest payments on the debt. It's sad to go over there to the website, look at the debt clock. I mean, my goodness, I just sickening to see that. We've got to get a balanced budget, start paying down the debt. There was a couple of more ambassadors named over the last 24 hours to some more countries, and things are beginning to take shape. Biden and his administration is continuing to do things toward the end of the administration's time in power to hamstring, really, and I think that's obviously a plan to hamstring the next administration on some things. I saw this article, and I don't have it in front of me, but one of the first arrests, and they said there'll be many more for basically climate change or crimes. And this is alarming, that they're going after people now, and the lameness of it. But yeah, it's just, again, as they go out the door kicking and screaming, they're doing all they can to hurt Americans. And the guy that wanted to be king and a dictator, and take down Russia and put Israel in its place, and fled the nation with just millions of people, and pay all the student debt off, and on you go. It's like, can it just get here? It's like we don't rush time, but it feels like every day it can just feel like, pressure's mounting. Like, can we just hurry up and close the door? I mean, it's really sad, and I shudder to think what they're going to try to push through on the last 3 or 4 days in office. I really do. And the number of pardons that he's done far exceeds anything anybody has ever done before. And again, just putting the next administration, sort of trying to box them in on some stuff. It won't work, but it'll require some working through, definitely. But I'm looking forward to the new day. I feel the nation is ready for it. You can feel that, and ready to see new things happen. Get control of the border. Hopefully get control of protect the jobs. Look at balancing the tariffs and leveraging that in a way that doesn't hurt business, but also doesn't take our jobs away. So there's a lot of things to look at. There's people ready to go. We've got to get some confirmed. There's always there's that 25 or so. Most of those will be just it won't be much at all to it, but there's going to be that fight over at least 2 or 3 of them, as we mentioned this morning. And so yeah, the news has flipped a little bit today. There's been a little bit of talk. Elon, at Newsmax article, he looks to future, sees infinite potential for job creation. We hope for that. We really do. The Doge leaders defend hiring of foreign-born engineers was a headline. Weiserman Schultz, Trump's threats preposterous. She's always uses big adjectives. Borders are Holman, family detentions to resume. GOP moves to advance Trump voting reforms. Interesting article. What would it take for Canada to be the 51st state? Eh? Diet Coke button to be reinstalled in Trump's office. Canadian officials in Florida to talk tariffs with Trump. Isn't it amazing? Mar-a-Lago has become the new White House. I mean, just because that's where business is done. There's no work being done at the White House except for negativity and damage. They go to Mar-a-Lago. So we'll see. South Carolina Attorney General Biden clemency is not principled. Well, of course not. Rabbi Berg, Iran is a paper tiger. God is with Israel. Some would argue that, but Iran certainly doesn't have the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob on their side. They can't be. not for what they're doing. President-elect Trump, Merry Christmas to all. It's so good to hear that. You know, I don't know if they still do them, but American Family Association, AFA, they used to make deals for those Merry Christmas buttons you could put on. I haven't looked this. I didn't look this year, but everywhere I went, it was Merry Christmas. I didn't hear a lot of clatter about that. Nobody had a problem with it. Most people were saying it before I could even get it out. They were saying that. Sugar afternoon here. When I started the show, it was 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, but right now it is 11:21. We'll put that in p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll do that on the Instagram side. So that's where we're at right now. So the afternoon there, and I wonder if that is afternoon ahead of us or behind us. Yes, thank the Lord that they are gone. We just need it to hurry up and happen. It's unfortunate, some of these things that are occurring, but we've got to get the hostages out of Gaza. We got to get resolution of that. We've got to get the Ukraine and Russian war to come to some sort of an agreement. Limit China as best we can, and put box Iran in, and keep an eye on Syria. Israel will do that, but be ready to support and I'm not for it because I don't want us there. But if things really blowed up, I'm sure Trump would if it was a necessity, it would have to be that Israel was going to be overran. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we have to do anything. I think Israel can take care of it. But it's definitely something that we'll be keeping an eye on. But again, I want to keep our military out of it. I would like to see us out of Korea altogether. Maybe advisors or something. But after all these years, South Korea should be able to take care of this. Let UN peacekeepers or something stage there. I know we like to have bases around the world to be ready to go to hot spots, but we don't need to be in the hot spot. We need to be a jump, because it does take time to get resources and manpower around the world if something blowed up big. But again, why are we going that far around the world unless it's NATO or allies? We need to stay out of some of that stuff. But again, you can put bases in places, where you don't have to be right in the middle of the conflict. And that, unfortunately, is the DMZ. That could blow up at any time. And North Korea has made feints on that. They have fired missiles into the Japan Sea, and they have, antagonized and made threats and did missile tests and nuclear tests and everything else. I don't feel comfortable with 37,000 American troops. I think that's a general number. Maybe it's 57,000, whatever it is. Bring them home. It's this is how long has this been going on? Okay. Yeah, sure. Goodbye. That's what you want. Come in, be a smart aleck. See ya. So, I love it when people are going to come and be a smart aleck. Sorry, some of you didn't see that, but we don't need it. I can be my own mod. An ad here: IDF reservist killed in Gaza. Military death toll hits 822. That's unfortunate, but Israel had to call up a lot of the reservists. When Israel they don't have this, obviously don't have the size of military we have. Although our military numbers are down, they call up all the reservists. People are basically, reserved forever until they just get so very old they can't do anything. But they have to call them up, and they've been called up for some time. Sort of like our, us calling up some of our National Guard and stuff, but they stay on duty like that. And this was in Central Gaza Strip on Wednesday. They announced this on this morning, their time. It was identified as Captain Reserve Amit Levi, 35, from Shamria, a religious kibbutz in southern Israel. So they buried them within 24 hours. So it was scheduled for 3 p.m. Today. So the death toll for the IDF, that's the Israeli Defense Force, total death toll since the start of the war on October 7th, 2023, to 822 and to 390 since the start of Gaza ground operations on October 27th, 2023. So that's a lot of lives. He was fighting Hamas terrorists in northern Gaza. Or excuse me, they were continuing to fight terrorists. But on Monday night, 3 IDF soldiers were killed fighting Hamas in northern Gaza, and they were a 22-year-old, a 21-year-old, and another 21-year-old. Life is gone. That's unfortunate. Really, really unfortunate that those things are going on like that. It's sad. I pray for their families. Again, the trench warfare that's going on in Ukraine and all the, unfortunately, the killing. It's just a grinder. I mean, they're just being ground to bits. I don't know if you've ever watched some of the video from there, but it's just spot to spot. And there's nothing there. I mean, there might be the remnants of a house that they kind of hide in some of the brick or block. But there's not, I mean, there's those areas are just leveled. Those little cities are just leveled, and they're just gone. So, it's just amazing. The death toll. I remember we were in, the Gulf War, and we lost a lot of men and women. But that was, that death toll, although it was a lot, it was nowhere near what the death toll is in this is going on. Those numbers are very high. Hello, Jeff. How you doing, buddy? But yeah, it's unfortunate. And, again, that's somebody's kids, that's somebody's husband or wife or whatever. And, again, I know that's what we have military for, but you just don't plan on things going on that long. It reminds me way back. And unfortunately, in our Civil War, and some would say war between the states and the United States of America, the beginning of the war is much like the Ukraine war. They thought that would be over in 3 months, 2 or 3 months. In fact, the first real battle, the people rolled out of D.C. to go watch it. They called it Bull Run, and we had First Manassas, but called it. They called it by different names. Some of the battles. They rolled out to watch it, and it's unfortunate. They found out really quickly as they saw the death. They were appalled at the carnage. They were not ready. They were not expecting what they saw. So those people that came out, and some of them, I mean, they were in formal outfits, came out to a battlefield, and when they saw the carnage, limbs being blown off, men being blown to bits, they were appalled, and they went back, and everybody knew after that battle that this was not something that was going to be over in 2 and 3 months. And that's what has been found out in Ukraine and Russia. Jeff, I don't know why people do that, but it doesn't bother me. You know what? What's funny about it, and for those that don't know, I mean, we had a guy come in and said I was talking to myself, which is not true. But I want to tell you something. I want to get back on this. It does not bother me one bit. I don't come in here looking for 100,000 people. I'm a preacher, and I have always preached the same. And I've been told that you preach the same whether there's 1 or 500, and I do. If there's one person that's listening, it's worth it. And even if there was nobody in here, it's recorded, and somebody will see it. We get a lot of follow-up views later on, so. They just got to be negative. It's childish. I look back, I guess I was childish at sometimes too. I guess it's the modern day call up and ask if you have Prince Albert in the can. You better let him out. So it don't bother me really. It can be annoying, I guess, sometimes, but we always say on here, like Mama said, because we do the show, Mama said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, either don't say nothing or just move along. There are thousands of podcasts. Now, there may not be thousands that are live right now, and that opens us up because the later it gets, the less lives that are on. If you go just to YouTube, I used to do this a lot on security. I'd listen to YouTubers through the night. There's nothing much going on. You're just watching a parking lot or something. I'd listen to YouTubers, and I'd like to listen to those that are live because you feel like, hey, they're up, I'm up. it kind of invigorates you, keeps you awake. And I enjoyed that. Sometimes they would go all night, but a lot of times by 2 or 3 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time for me, there would be nobody on. So you'd go to record it, and sometimes early in the morning there would be some that would kick in early, like we do with our morning show. And but it was it was fun, and when you have life is life. So I was asking a lady today who was our waitress, and I asked her how her day had been because I wanted I just wanted to see how she was doing. She's having to work and working hard, doing a good job, and she said it had it had been a good day. How do I feel about Ted Kaczynski? Well, I mean, he was the Unabomber. I mean, he operated for a long time, and wasn't he eventually turned in by his brother? I think it was. I think his brother turned him in, if I remember right on that. How do I feel about him? Well, I don't have any positivity towards people who are, blowing people up or whatever. But I know there's some people that look at some of these people and think that maybe they're, it's homegrown terrorism. But, there are some people, because of I guess it goes back to what I'm trying to say. It goes back to the Frank and Jesse James. How do you feel about them? Some looked at Frank and Jesse James as people of honor, that they were fighting back against a government that had invaded their land, and they were taking back and giving to poor, almost the Robin Hood effect or whatever. And then there were others that look at that and say these guys were cold-blooded murderers. I mean, they were thieves. The war was over, and they had no right to go out and shoot up people in banks and stuff like that. They were just criminals. I've got friends that are on both sides of this. So, I mean, it's always when you try to talk about people that are controversial and what you think about them, whether that's Adolf Hitler or, and you'll get the same arguments about some of those leaders that, what were they doing and, what was their motives. And at the end of the day, though, a thug is a thug, and, somebody that's doing bad things, and I'm never going to defend people that are. I'll give you a great one. What is his name? Eric Rudolph, that was blowing up that blowed up the abortion clinic. Now, listen, I'm against abortion. I am a pro-life individual. I love the preborn, and I support ministries to the preborn. I think people need to step up and help, and get resources and stuff to help people to get better decisions, and education and all those things. But we don't have a right to be going out and blowing up workers. That's not my job. My job as a citizen is to follow the law. I'm going to follow God first, and hopefully those two intersections don't meet where because I'm going to follow God. And if they do, then at that point I would be breaking laws, but I wouldn't be hurting people. I wouldn't be killing people or nothing like that. I wouldn't be a part of anything like that. He's not around anymore, but the great, if you've ever heard of him, he was Jewish and went to Tennessee Temple right in Chattanooga, right close to where I'm at. Jimmy DeYoung. And I remember one time on his call-in show, somebody called in, and this was in relation to some things that was going on in Israel. And he basically said the same thing. He said, listen, we got to obey laws. Nobody's advocating for going out here and disobeying laws, as a Christian. So I don't know, how you feel about him. I remember the case. I followed it loosely. I've never done a deep dive on that, but I do remember bits and pieces. And, but he placed several bombs. His brother, I did pull up, David Kaczynski described his brother, his trouble brother, Ted, who had grown up in Chicago, taught at the University of California at Berkeley, where the two bombs had been placed, then lived for a time in Salt Lake City before selling permanently in a primitive 10 by 14 cabin that the brothers had constructed near Lincoln, Montana. David provided letters and documents written by his brother Linguistic analysis determined that the author of those papers and the manifesto were almost certainly the same. When combined with facts gleaned from the bombings and Kaczynski's life, that analysis provided the basis for a search warrant. On April 3rd, 1996, investigators arrested Kaczynski and combed his cabin, where they found a wealth of bomb components, 40,000 handwritten journal pages. That's a lot. That included bomb-making experiments and descriptions of Unabomber crimes and one live bomb ready for mailing. So Timothy McVeigh deserves exactly what he got. That's how I feel about that. Again, another homegrown terror. No matter how bad the government is, let me tell you about Timothy McVeigh. Now, I didn't go to the cabin or anything where Kaczynski was at, but I want to tell you that punk Timothy McVeigh parked that truck in there. He almost got blown up himself. But everybody knew that building. He scouted that building. He knew some things about that. He also knew that there was a daycare there. And I want to tell you what, if you ever go to the Oklahoma City bombing location, and I've been there a number of times, and go at night when they light all the chairs up, and you look at all the little chairs. And what I feel about Timothy McVeigh is I'm glad that he has been taken care of, and may God, God rest his soul. He'll stand before God, and I'll let God handle the rest of it out, as he has already stood before him, I'm sure, and will eventually, as all will at the great white throne judgment. And he killed a lot of innocent people. He killed a lot of kids, and that's how I feel about that. He's a bad dude. What I do feel about this case is, and of course his partner in crime, can't think of his name off the top of my head. I know it. I don't think they were the only two. I think they were helped. These militia members. There was a third person that was supposedly that day they were looking for. He's just, what? He got caught up into this anti-government feelings. And I'm not saying that, everything, again, I don't like a lot of things the government does, horrible things. I think there's crimes been committed and people need to go to jail. But again, pulling the truck filled with that, and that shaped bomb that he did to do the most massive of damage. Well, it worked. It worked. And a lot of people died that day. It was horrible. David Koresh in the Waco massacre, another guy. This is the government could have handled this a whole lot different. I was on that one because of how it ended, very troubling. Again, from what I've read, they could have picked him up at any time. The confrontation, which obviously there were gunshots that fired and agents hit and killed, and then that began the standoff. The way it ended was horrible, and a lot of folks in there, women and children, died. And I just think that the government could have handled that a whole lot better. That whole situation. I don't remember, what all crimes. I know there were some they were looking at him for, but again, another guy who had I would say a death fixation, and he took a lot of people towards it, just like Jonestown. And different setting, but again, a religious nut, whatever his, and again, you have a right to be a nut as long as you're not doing some things. And but they could have handled that better. Again, some of these are more, like what happened at Ruby Ridge is totally horrible. I mean, it's just horrible. And, he was not charged there. Interesting. I've read a lot about these three cases. Kaczynski, not as much. But those are great questions. You get a lot of opinions. The Elian Gonzalez, I don't like what the government did there, sending him back. I felt like he should be allowed to stay. And, but, that was just a difference. I didn't like Janet Reno at all. Horrible. And there was a lot of things that happened under her watch that were horrible. I don't like this idea of the jackboots coming in and stormtroopers coming into homes and stuff. Like I said, could have handled this a whole lot better. A lot of feeling that they wanted the confrontation. So Ruby Ridge was messed up, and if you read all of that, you know, and you know, pretty much was proven that the government was wrong in their actions there. And you know, unfortunately, it's sad. It's really sad the death that occurred there. And again, another government just um, bad stuff. Bad stuff. I'm not an expert on any of these, but I have read a lot, and I've read, I listened to some of their own interviews. These people that were involved in most of these, but not Kaczynski, except the brother. I've kind of refreshing my mind. I remember that part, but the rest of these, you know, I read books, I listened to interviews and the documentaries about each of these, and so yeah, I do that occasionally, Colt. I do come in a little later sometimes and do a not talk show, but yeah, I like to. For you, it's not as late, but I do a not talk, call it not talk late night, and I do that sometimes. Just catch sometimes the same people, sometimes different. For me, most of the time, the family's all settled down, snug in the beds, and it's just me up. Although my granddaughter's out of school right now, and I hear her in there uh, cleaning up and getting her and the dog ready for bed. So she's up late, but she's out of school. But normally, I do like to come in. Well, that's a great question again, Jeff. 9/11. I would just say, the tie-in to the Saudis is was and is very deep within a lot of politicians, and where they, I find it hard to believe that with all the intelligence of abilities we have, they didn't know that these were here, and to what level this went. I've watched a lot of that, and I know people run the full spectrum on this, but easy now. But I don't know. I mean, it would be a total guess by me what people knew and did not know. Do I? I don't know. I don't know. I do know this. I certainly, I'm not one of those people that don't believe that planes didn't fly into the buildings. It was all CGI or whatever. Come on. Planes hit them. Buildings went down. You can debate if there were bombs in there or whatever happened, but a lot of people died that day, and we've got the evidence of it. So, but there had been at the highest levels, a lot of people tied in with the Saudis, and a lot of money was being put in politicians' pockets, and still to this day, a lot of Saudi money has been flowing into certain pockets in America, certain foundations and stuff. I'll say it that way. And their influence, you don't hear as much about it of late, but it's still there. And I don't know. I don't know. That one is a very evil, that's just a horrible. Yeah. Well, Paula, I didn't really have a topic. I was just coming on late night to just talk. And Jeff's been asking me my opinions about various bad individuals and stories from the past, from Ruby Ridge to David Koresh, 9/11, and he just mentioned Jeffrey Dahmer. What a twisted story! But I guess we're kind of talking conspiracy theory, which is fine. It's late night. It's good. It's a good time of hour to talk about those things. So it's really open discussion. So that, Paula, if you've got something you want to throw out there, I'm just talking. It's the day after Christmas. Most of us are off. Some maybe had to work. Hope you had a great Christmas. I'm just getting a new studio prepared. I'm excited about that, and I did a couple of shows today, and I decided to come in and do a late night show. So, but yeah, he's still a lot out there. The 2022 election, okay, it was rigged, and everyone knows it. I will join and concur. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but we certainly know that there has been problems in many states. When you shut down all of the counting in 20, when you shut down the all of the counting, and then when they do start up, it all swings one way. I mean, it was pretty evident that there was some things going on. I did have a great Christmas, and I hope you did too. Uh, Come on now, Jeff. We can all talk. Let's be nice now. Paula's certainly welcome to put her 2 cents in, and I don't know. Is 2 cents worth 2 cents anymore? I might be minus with inflation. But I did have a good Christmas. I love Christmas time. Um, Today was frustrating. My wife lost her phone for a while, and I think it was actually my son that lost it for her by accident. So we spent a little bit of time. Oh, that drives me. Used to be it was always looking for the remote. Where's the remote? That it's now phones. Where'd my phone go? Where's my phone? So that's right. Be nice. Mama said. That's one of our shows here on Monday nights. Mama said. So we try to keep the show, family friendly. We get a little push the buttons a little bit, but we keep it family friendly. We do have youngins that come in here and say hey sometimes. So 73. Okay, well he's up. You're a little ahead of me. So I'll be 60 next year in 2025. Which is hard for me to believe. I don't feel like that. I mean, I guess sometimes I do when I don't feel good, but I don't, I don't know how you're supposed to feel at these ages, but, Paula, what area of the country do you come in, or what area of the world are you coming from? What state are you in? I'm in Georgia, North Georgia, almost in Tennessee, but not quite. My partner and co-host, Rob, is not in here with me tonight. He's from extreme South Georgia. Okay, 62. We're pretty close in age. Paula Abdul or Paula Dean? Man, that's a great question, Jeff. You simply amaze me, some of these questions. But I guess it would be, if I'm, I guess I would say, I'm going to have to say Paula Dean because she's Southern and a good cook. But I have nothing against Paula Abdul. She had some songs that were kind of nice, and but yeah, I'm from Ukraine, but live in the Bay Area now. Well, awesome. What's your thoughts about possibly, hopefully this thing will end up over there in Ukraine? I'm pushing. I want to see that stopped. The killing has got to stop. Jeff says he's in Kazakhstan for the past 17 years. And so, yeah, Paula Dean, I don't know if she has the cooking and she has the things she sells and has done very well for herself. And I don't know that she ever quite rebounded from the controversy, but she, Paula Dean's an interesting character. I love her accent. So, but yeah, glad how's things where you're at, in the Bay Area. Hopefully things are going to get better. It's a beautiful location. It's just unfortunate some of the leaders that you've had there. But Paula Abdul's a good dancer and singer. And I was a girl that I work with, and when she's a big Paula Abdul fan. Well, it is notorious, I would say. She did get in trouble for comments that she had made sometime before, and she apologized for that. And I think she probably has came back okay, but she's kind of legendary down here. I never did like Pantera. I'm a big music guy. I'm not speaking against them. It's I'm not really into that heavy. I never was. So, but unfortunate what happened to the Dimebag. Was his name right? I think I got the right band. Anyway, I have friends that like them. I don't listen. The music part, I guess I would be okay with. It's the singing. I don't really care for that style. But music is music, if you like guitar and stuff. So, but what kind of music do I like? Well, it really runs the gamut. Now I'm a Christian, and I do tend to stay with that. But I was always a classic rock kind of guy. I was into 80s rock because that was the area. I was 15 in 1980, so I was growing up with that. But my mom was very much loved music, so she gave me an interest in a lot of different types of music. So my musical taste growing up were anything from Elvis to Motown to country, the old country, not the bro country and all that. I'm not putting it down. It's not my thing. Then I once I heard, Foreigner on the radio and AC/DC and Van Halen and stuff like that, that really, catapulted me into the 80s and Def Leppard and Guns and different ones. But Yacht Rock, God, that's all. Do you mind make me answer that? I guess, and I know what you're talking about, but I know that what's his name? Chris, the guy that sang Arthur's theme. What was his name? I just went blank. A little bit, I would say, a little bit, but I will tell you that I absolutely hate. I don't know if it's considered yacht rock, but the guy that sung. Oh man, I'm going blank tonight. My mom used to love that song. It'll hit me in a minute, and it's one of the worst videos ever made. But to a degree, some of it is okay. Again, it's what mood am I in? It's what mood am I in? Love Michael McDonald. I love him. Some great things, Cook. Journey, definitely. Love Journey. I grew up with that. Love Journey. Some of their stuff I didn't care for as much as others, but I did. Steely Dan. Yeah, you're right. You're right in my wheelhouse, man, because I grew up with all this music. So Steely Dan is definitely in the mix. I could put those jams on and not turn it. Without a doubt, Cook, you know me, Def Leppard. I've seen them a number of times in concert over the years. The boys from Sheffield, with now one from Dublin, because unfortunately, Doobie Brothers. Okay, I didn't know Doobie Brothers qualified. Did they qualify in Yacht Rock? I'm learning something if that's true. Love them. Taking it to the streets, China Grove. Absolutely. Paula says I hung out with Steve Perry, and I guess I should be putting some of these up for Instagram, folks, and I'm sorry. Let's see here. I hung out with Steve Perry in Southern California. He doesn't like well, they got on him a lot, and he went through a lot of mental issues with I don't know what how you describe it, but who's Roy? Roy is he's my brother in Christ. He's one of my very best friends, and he is crew to the Southern Fried podcast. And yes, he is dark. He is dork. I thought I said dark. I looked at it wrong. He did have that moment, and then he didn't want to ever tour anymore, and he was trying to hold the band up. And they said, we want to run it. We want to go, so they pushed him out. But yeah, maybe addictions. I guess they all had addictions. That's what's destroyed a lot of them. But yeah, Michael McDonald was awesome. He has a couple songs that I it doesn't matter when it comes out. I'll listen to it while he was with, I don't know, one of them might've been, one of my favorite songs of his was from the movie, Running Scared. Well, didn't he do the title track for that movie? The Billy Crystal movie. They were cops in Chicago, and I think he did the title track for that movie. I love that movie, and great soundtrack. But oh man, I'm not a fan of the band, but I have many friends who are. So obviously, I don't know him personally, but I know who you're talking about. I don't know. I'm kind of against guys coming out nothing but a sock. I guess you know what I mean. There was a couple of songs was okay, but I was never really into them at all. But many of my friends, you remember that? You remember that movie, Cook? He was a Doobie Brother. Really? Okay. Well, then I understand. But I'm not a fan of his or them. But yeah, Colt, I get it. What was the name of that big album they had? The one that really hit. man, I can't remember now. They had the song California Cation or whatever, but California bred and born. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. That's horrible though. I didn't, if that happened. Um, I'm a big Fleetwood Mac fan. Um, I do like Kiss. That's a hard one for me. Um, I'm a big Lindsey Buckingham fan, and when I was very young, I was not allowed to even watch Kiss. Didn't really. I mean, I saw the shirts at school, and so. Oh well, I like them, and I actually went and saw Kiss at a little club in Atlanta. It was a pre-show to the big tour, and then later I saw them in a convention. I paid $100 to go in. I got to be in a room and listen to them play songs they had never played live, or at least not in 25 years. And this was back when Bruce Kulick was with them, so it was. But I am a Fleetwood Mac fan, and Rumors is top 5 all time album. But I love he's Lindsey's he's eclectic. There's he's sort of he wouldn't be an easy chap to always get along with. He's moody, I guess is the best way to put it, but he's a genius. He is absolute genius when it comes to recording. And he's his most famous. I mean, he's famous for Fleetwood Mac, absolutely, but his maybe most famous thing is that title song to the Vacation movie. I mean, I think that maybe is what. Too Shorts, I don't know who that is, so you've caught me on that one. Stevie Nicks is an American legend, a great songwriter and singer, although her voice sort of grates on me a little bit at times, depending on the song. But I do like her. I liked her growing up. She likes to play the victim a little bit more than that. But I like. Let's see what Cook says here about them. I do some Fleetwood Mac songs, but I want to thank you, Dave, for taking me to the guitar convention where Fleetwood Mac opened for Kiss. It was awesome, Fleetwood Mac. Thank Cook. Amen. Again, Fleetwood Mac is, a great, I mean, how could you not enjoy it? I mean, it's drama. It's, the relationships and all of that, and drugs, addictions, all that. Became great music. And a lot of people don't know that well, when she really gets into that, I don't know how to say that, but she was she destroyed her nostrils at one time. She had a hole in her nose, and they were all doing that. The recording of Rumors, there were massive amounts of coke that were in the rooms. I don't know how they got anything done. I really don't. Kiss Nation, they've always been supportive, and she did destroy her nose. But I like some Kiss songs. Gene and Paul can be over the top sometimes, and I don't like how they did Bruce Kulick. I don't. Ace Frehley is a legend in guitar, but he's an oddball. He man, if you read some of the stuff, man, it's just he's an oddball. And again, but you got to give him credit. A couple of Jewish guys that a teacher, and one was a taxi driver or something, and really got it going. She is beautiful and still performing, yes, and she's in her 70s and still killing it. She's an awesome writer, and that's why they did it. I mean, that's why a lot of them did it, and to lose weight. And matter of fact, Richie Sambora of there's a video of him in the studio. He's kind of pudgy, and one of the guys said, "Man, you're getting kind of fat." He said, "Oh, I'll lose that in 6 weeks," and that's how he did it, highballs, But also Sebastian Bach of Skid Row, that's why he was so skinny during those early Skid Row days. He would tell you it's cocaine. It was bad, but yeah, I liked some Kiss songs, but I don't like how they did Bruce Kulick, because I just felt like they knew they were going to reform the band, the original band, and he never really got that call. But he was a loyal guy. He was a very loyal guy, and of course, obviously Tommy Thayer come along later, and was manager, then played with him. Nothing against Tommy Thayer. I think he's a good guy, good player. But Cook, you're probably going to throw. Cook is a big Michael Jackson fan. He could probably sing some of these songs, but Fleetwood Mac are. What I was going to say is that in that creative moment, Lindsey was able to get the best out of them, and they had so much. They had so many great songs that there were songs that got left off of that album, and you know, one of the songs that got left off was Rolling Stones' Voodoo Lounge Tour. I bet that was good. I was never a huge Stones fan, but I do like a couple of the members, and I like the guitar players mainly, but Mick's a little over top, but he's talented. I mean, his solo album was really good. What I was going to say though is the song was Silver Angels that she wrote. She wanted to give her mom the royalties off of that. And back in those days, they didn't have the CDs. They didn't have the double. They didn't have the ability to, unless you added another album. They only had so much record time. So they had to, I think Mick was left telling her that they had to leave that song off. So she was angry about that for a long time. Finally got it released and it made some money. But she was deeply offended by that. It was a great song. But they had so many good songs that got left out. I mean, that in some circles, that's considered the best album of all time. I wouldn't argue the point. But I will give it top 5, and it still sells well. Boston is another. That story is amazing. But yeah. Yeah. Definitely not of their lifestyle. My gosh. But the music speaks for itself. Interesting, right? It's a good question. It's a good question. I know. I get it. You remember that show, Cook? We did see Ace in a small room in Atlanta. But let me tell you, he was sober, seemingly to me, and he tore it up. We were standing right in front of the stage. Yes, I don't like his politics. He's very talented, but him and David Gilmour could not get along at all. They argue over the band, and he's out. I think David's got control of the website, but Rogers tours, and he's very wealthy, but they all made a pile of money. But he is very political. He does a lot of controversial things about Jews in his concerts. He's caught flack for it, but he still does it. You know what? My only claim to fame with that is me and Michael Jackson lived in the same town for 6 months when I was about a year and a half old, Gary, Indiana. No, we didn't see each other, but yeah. Do you like Pink Floyd? I saw them in concert at Bobby Dodd Stadium, Georgia University of the Georgia Tech, and great show. It was outdoor. It was a great show. So yeah, Paula, Pink Floyd, interesting band. And I guess what is the most interesting about, oh wow, that was way back. That was back in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm going to say it was early 90s. But it was a great show. They're, because they do so many different sounds through some of those songs. They're long songs, some of them. And it was just a great atmosphere. It was kind of a cool night, but not cold. The wind was blowing. It was really a great atmosphere. Another show that I saw, and you either are or usually not a fan, I like Rush. And I saw Rush in Atlanta on the Roll Your Bones tour, and that was a great show. I take that back. It wasn't Atlanta. It was right here in Chattanooga. I saw Rush. It was in Chattanooga, and really enjoyed the show. I've always liked them, and fortunate that the great drummer Neil Peart has passed, and Rush is no more. Although I kind of think they're going to get back together and tour some, maybe not call it Rush, but they still can sing and play those songs and maybe get a drummer to pick up and go. I don't know. Pink Floyd makes me feel like I'm floating on a stick of butter that's being melted by the sun's. What a great comment. That sounds like something our friend Steve in Ohio would say. I visited Netherlands and Santa Ynez with my dog. Okay. I hope you had a great time there. Could be the mushrooms. It could be. Great comments. Paula said, I grew up going to Lazarus in San Francisco, Golden Gate Park, and Pink Floyd to Laser Lights. That was a big thing, the Laser Light shows. I guess they still go on. It was every Friday night. Yeah, I guess they do a little and watch. You know? I'm a big fan of amphitheaters. I love to go to that. I haven't been in years to anything, but I went to a lot of shows at one time. I'm not a world traveler or anything, but I know that I easily saw more than 50 shows in the times that I went. And it ran in full spectrum from anything from Hall & Oates, ZZ Top, all the way up. I guess the heaviest show was Metallica in Nashville, outdoor amphitheater. Remember that night, Cook? Oh, my gosh. Yes, God is a forgiving God, and I'm definitely glad he forgave me. Praise the Lord. Jeff says, I saw Drake with my daughter. He was not appropriate toward her backstage. Uh-oh, not good. Seems to be probably seems to be following you around. I love amphitheaters, Greek theater in Berkeley, epic venue. What's the one the one that I really would like to I've not heard of that one. I would like to see that venue is Red Rocks. That's the one I would like to go to. Wow, you beat me. We were thinking the same thing. I would love to go to that. I think that's probably the best, the absolute best one. The atmosphere there is just killer. You watch things on video, but to be there would be something else. Yes. Give me fuel, give me fire. Well, that night in Nashville, my friend Cook in here, he can tell you there was a lot of fire being burned out in the audience, and it was a weird night. Yes, that's a lot. There's a lot going on there. I don't know. So, but yeah, great shows. Do you have any of your? I don't, and I wish I did. I don't have any of my concert tickets. I have. Well, thank you for that. My mind works strange ways, but that has stuck in my mind for a long time. I thought I would like to go there. What and where will we do in our next 30 years? Well, I will say that I don't believe I'll live 30 more years. So you can shorten that time frame down for me. It would be nice, but I don't think I'll live that long. What I will do is I will be where will be here for me in North Georgia until I do die. And I will be doing podcasting, preaching, and working of some kind. So, okay, you got to do a lot of backstage stuff and free concerts. Okay. So, and you got drunken, doped up, testosterone crazy entertainers you have to watch because there's a lot of things goes on. Let's be honest, there's a lot of pervs in the business. A lot. That's true. So what, Paula, what's your go-to music though? You've talked about a lot. If when you're down and you want to put something and just cruise, what is it that you really like? I understand. And the only reason I say that is that not that, I'll be 60. Could I make it to 90? Yeah, I could, but there's not a man in my family on my dad's side, not one that I know of in generations of us who've made it anywhere near that. So I think about this. I try to maximize and live each day, and I feel like I'm running a race, and I am running a race, a spiritual race, but I'm running a race to get a lot accomplished. I'm raising a granddaughter, and I want to, I want to, see her through to adulthood and marriage, and make sure she's on the right track. And I want to grow the podcast, not for vanity or pride or anything. I enjoy it, and I want to explore it as far as I can, and what creativity can I come up with that not everybody may not like, but that somebody gets something out of. That's what I'll be doing. Tell them about the King Kong tie. Well, we were at a Def Leppard concert, and Joe Elliott throws a Kong tie into the crowd, and everybody jumped for it. Cook at that time he's always been 6'4". I think he was running about 340 or 350 then. Big guy, offensive lineman top, and he jumps and catches that. Unfortunately, on the fall, on the landing, he didn't stick it, and he fell over all these people that were trying to rip that tie out of his hand. He curled it like a football, like a good football player would do, and came up elbows flying to keep the crowd from taking it from him, and then handed it to me. What a friend. Jackal, they're a good Southern Georgia band. Jesse James Dupree. Yeah. They're definitely an AC/DC top. Okay. Gives us a context there. That's okay. Okay. See, my number one is R&B. Any artist. I love classic rock and roll. Rap. I've never been into rap. Sure, Coat. Tell us the joke. Let's see here. The joke is coming. I'm a little bit behind. What's got on arms? You got me, man. I don't know. I'll wait for the answer. The Peppers just grabbed her and brought her backstage. It is strange. Well, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on with some of these groups. Yes. Love the old school rap music, the kind of music that I grounded my son for listening to the 90s. Yeah. Def Leppard, my all-time favorite. And you know what? Even if I didn't like the music, I admire them. These were the Pittsburgh equivalent. Sheffield is a lot like Pittsburgh, PA. And these guys, they just wanted to get out. They didn't want to die early. They didn't want to get the black lung. They didn't want to work in a dark, dingy. They weren't against work, but they just saw what their parents, that hard-working people that tried to make a better life for them like we do for our kids. Yeah, I know. I know. I wasn't going to make no comment about it when you said that, but I'm a fan. And, Steve Clark paid his tribute to Jimmy Page every time he came on stage. And he was a great riff. He was the riff master. He wrote a lot of great riffs. But if you don't like him, I get it. But I'm a fan. I have been a fan since I was 15 years old and seen them in a lot of concerts. You mean the Metallica show? Oh, yeah. That was a bad night. That was not good. Okay, here we go. Why are there no gambling laws in Africa? This is okay. Wait for it. We're waiting. He does have one arm. He lost that in a car crash in 1984, New Year's Eve or day, I think. And his story is one of great overcoming. And he is inspiration to wounded warriors. And he's an artist, too, as well. Great guy. Me and him are right around the same age. Very close. Okay. But what era of the band do you like the most? What era of their music? Jimmy Page is a legend. He would go down not only as a great songwriter, but as a player, but also as a recorder, because it was his ideas that they recorded those albums. I mean, he was the one that came up with a lot of those sounds and stuff and the way he recorded. I mean, he's a genius in many, many ways. Hysteria, yes, big fan of that era. That's when I started seeing them, actually. I didn't get to see them on 83 tour, but I saw them 5 times on the Hysteria tour alone. Jeff, you come with some crazy stuff. When I was 17, my babysitter made me sit in a high chair and do finger painting. Well, if you were finger painting, that's an odd thing, but great for artists, I guess. It's an artist kind of thing. Too many cheetahs. Oh, yeah, y'all are funny tonight. Y'all are funny. Appreciate you on Instagram. They were watching, not too many chats coming out of there, but we appreciate you. And I appreciate all the, I love music. And we had a music show. We did our front porch show last week or no, the week before on music and 80s hair band. We're going to come back and do that again. I am, Paula, I'm absolutely, Tesla is in my top 5. I'm a big Tesla fan. They're still around. Frank Cannon, I love that guy, man. He is so cool. He has a lot of musical influences all the way from country to Southern rock to heavy stuff. He's a great guy. They all came out of Sacramento. He lives down in Texas now and got away from the crime and the crazy that was going on there. Of course, now he's having to deal with things there, but he loves horses. And I stay in touch with him through social medias, but I saw them in concert a number of times as well. Tesla, yeah, they are California bred. And again, another group of people that came out of a hard-working kind of, a working town, And it's that, by the way, I've heard them talk about this. They're very sad about what happened to their area, to their home with the crime. Very, very sad. So yeah, Cook, 80s, yes. Cook, by the way, I gave you a like. Cook sent me a little message. He was singing Elvis, a little 20 a minute. I don't know if it was a minute or a minute 20 second, whatever it was. It was I enjoyed that. Never been a huge fan. I couldn't tell you anything. I know about them, but that's about the extent of it. I just have never did a deep dive into the Deftones. Yes. Again, Tesla, absolutely. Oh, they're Sacramento band too. And okay, I don't know a lot, so thanks for the input. I don't really know a lot about them. I should know more, to be honest. I'll admit that I should. I used to really keep up with a lot more than I have. It's something I got away from, but they didn't call me the music man for nothing. I mean, I've never been a artist to play, but I've always loved music. And so, people had a musical question. They usually come and ask me, and I've hooked up with some friends. We're going to have a music show on the podcast. We're going to have a music kind of talk show, sort of like we're doing tonight, but we're going to analyze a band's album or something about a band. That's coming in the new year. Diamond Eyes. Okay. I will check that out. Thank you. My mom was a huge Elvis fan. And Cook is a big Elvis fan in here, Roy Cook, and love Elvis. In fact, in the new studio, you're going to be seeing an Elvis picture hanging that belonged to my mom. And the whole album. Okay, I'll check it out. Never been a fan, although I know a lot of people are, to Papa Roach. Okay, they made it after their bass player passed from a 2-year-long coma. That's deep. Music saved my life. A lot of people can say that. A lot of songs written about that too. We do need coupons for 50% off Falcons tickets. Good. One of the greatest stories was, and I love the song Journey, going back to Journey, and that the Make-A-Wish thing, and the kid that had a big Journey fan and was dying, and they had just recorded their latest album. Oh, and what was the song? It's one of my favorite songs. And they let him hear that. He was outside, the producer and them. Nobody heard it. And they brought it in on a cassette with headphones. And they said that the smile that brought across his face, literally, hours later, this kid died. And they said that there was no amount of money you could ever give them to replace that feeling. And Jeff, you're getting a little wild out there. I think these stories are getting a little wild. Papa Roach, Sacramento. Okay. Viva Las Palmas. Yeah, there's some weird stuff. Come on, Jeff. Dial it back, man. There's a fourth comment about inappropriate. So if that truly all happened, I'm very sorry. But as Paula says, but I would think if there was all of that, I would just stop going to the shows. I would just stop going, stop taking and being around stuff like that. So I saw, believe it or not, and I was never never was a huge Ozzy fan. Although I love the guitar players of Ozzy. Now, going all the way back to Tony and then obviously the great Randy Rhoads. But I got to see them in Knoxville, Tennessee with Zach. And in the crowd, another guitar player was coming up to watch Zach, and we bumped into each other. He kind of bumped into me, and it was, what's his name from Soundgarden? I know it, and I can't think of it. Great guy. He said, sorry, man. As we just mouthed that you couldn't hear Zach. He just wanted to go over and watch Zach. But I get it. I'm just saying that maybe, no, I have to tell us everything. Sometimes TMI, so Chris Cornell was not the guy, but it was his guitar mate. But yeah, okay, yeah, I'm not being critical. I'm just saying that that's rough. But yeah, I love talking music. And I've been he's great a great singer, great songwriter. Did a lot of things that people thought that yes, definitely. Unfortunately, they're still out there. Unfortunately for the singer, the drugs. Man, he looked bad at the end. I mean, bad, really, really bad. But yeah, I liked a lot of their stuff. I'm not gonna say I liked everything because I didn't listen to everything, but what I heard, I really liked. Let's see, what was the name of that album? Fuel? Have I got that right? Fuel? Am I close? I think. But yeah, they brought it. They really did. That's good cruising music there. It's a great song. That was a great album. Just think of all the songs on that album. I mean, wow. So yeah. Yeah, it is sad when you think of all the all the different yeah. According to Rob. Colt, I don't know if was you in that night? We went south and spent 3 days with Rob and went in studio. I don't know if you were around for any of that. Plush, my fave. Okay. It's amazing, and you think about it. I mean, all those songs hit back when we were a lot younger. We think about it as not that far ago. That's been 30 years ago. Good grief. That's amazing. Oh, he sounded just like Cornell when he was song. Okay. Just kidding. Oh, but yeah, that's great. I saw when I saw Ozzy, Alice in Chains opened, and also Suicidal Tendencies. Never a fan of Suicidal Tendencies, although they brought it. But Alice in Chains, wow. And yeah, he probably is, Colt. He doesn't do the late shows with me. He doesn't do the off day shows. Like he doesn't do Tuesday shows unless we do an interview, or Thursday. So it's just me. I told him I was going to be doing some shows today, but he must have got busy. But I agree. There's one of those you press the accelerator a little harder. Yes, and I just mentioned I didn't like the lyrics to Man in the Box, but he said he's obviously on a lot of heroin when he wrote that. But that riff and that song is one of the top 3 riffs of all time in rock, in my opinion. Wow. You definitely drive fast listening to that song. Oh. Let's see. Civil Tendencies wasn't one banner or Big Brother. I didn't I never followed them. And the only reason I went to that show was Alice in Chains and Ozzy. I really just wanted to see Zach. If you think about it. And at the time, I just knew of Alice in Chains a little bit, not a lot. And lead singer was in a wheelchair. He had gotten hurt. He was in a He'd gotten hurt. I don't remember how he got hurt. Maybe he's jumping off stage or something. I don't remember. But he rocked that wheelchair all around the stage. I'm gonna tell you, he played or he sang very hard that night. But yeah, that was a triple bill. And I will say this: Ozzy's sound that night was very clean, very clean. I mean, it was amazing. But Zach was nothing against Ozzy. Zach was the star. Man, he was ripping, shredding all the people that all the players wanted to be over there to watch Zach. He's kind of an out there kind of guy too. He's crazy. He's crazy as a loon, but he's a genius when it comes to playing and stuff. Never really listened to them, so I can't give you an opinion on them. I have heard of them. So again, like I said, I got away from listening to a lot of things. Lived a different life, and but I have heard of them. So, you know, a buddy of mine who's a guitar player and loves music, and a lot of these bands we're talking about, we're really just about every one of them he loves. He says Dave is great up till about 1995, and then he just stopped listening to music except for, and it is, there's a lot of truth in that, because really 98 was the year, and I changed, my life changed, and I saw some things, you know, and I still follow news and bands, but I didn't go to shows after that except for some contemporary Christian, and then just other, you know, very Southern Christian music. But that was you kind of get the idea of where I was at in music by the bands I've told you I liked. And okay, I'll check that. So there's a band, what was the one that they were heavy on? What are they called? And they sort of come from an inspirational thought process, although it would never be called religious. What was it called? I'm going to get it wrong, but OMD or something. I know that's wrong, but it's something like that. It stood for something, but yeah, I remember them, reading about them. Creed was another band. I liked their sound. There's a lot of hurt in that. You know, you could feel the pain in the music, but there was also a lot of inspiration there too. Music is very powerful in our lives. Music really takes you places, and of course you got to listen to, you know, it could take you the wrong places. It can also take you to the right places. And when you're really sad, a song can help you. A song will identify with tragedies in your life. You will think about, it'll take you right there. It's just as strong as a smell or sight or anything. But music is very, very powerful, and children that get into music and playing music, you know, they develop better. I mean, it is important to give the arts and music, and painting was mentioned earlier. All those things are very important to give to children. It helps them to develop. And those that are damaged in some way, music is a great help to them as well. And horseback riding. Horses are great, and animals in general help those. So that's great stuff. Well, hey, I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to be on here in the morning at 6 a.m. So with Rob, we'll be back together in the morning for our Friday morning show at 6 a.m. So I'm going to get off and do a little bit of work on podcast and go to bed. It's been fun to be on here on late night. We'll do it again. We'll do it again soon, as early as maybe Sunday night or Monday night or somewhere in there. We'll do it again. So Foo Fighters, I like them. I like them. Yeah. Let's continue this discussion on my next late night. If y'all can make it back in, I would love to talk more music about that, and talk about Nirvana and some different ones we didn't better than Jimmy Fallon than others. Hey, have a great night. It's good to talk to all of you. God bless you. Sorry for any damages that were done in your life, Jeff, and hang in there. Paula, it's good to meet you, and from the Bay Area, Colt, California as well. And yeah, late night with Dave. My tagline is Dave in the AM. It sounds funny, Dave in the AM, late night. But I am AM. See, I went into the AM, so it works. It just kind of works. And I like getting on doing stuff like this. So I'll definitely be back. Take care. God bless. We'll see you all soon. Y'all have a great Friday. We're into Friday already. We've started it good. Let's continue and finish it up. Cornbread Nation shows coming soon, and Southern Fried MAGA. New shows, as well as a music show. So have a great rest of your morning. Hopefully you're off work tomorrow and don't have to work. So thank y'all. Take care.